What's going on, guys? You can tell by the YouTube title that I got something that I found in the charts here that might be a lot more risky than we might have thought. So, obviously, although I had some pretty good areas and levels that we talked about in the last video I made, a few things have changed. So we can clearly see here the reason I sold my original position, all of my position, up in these levels from 835 to 864. Not only did I see us slowly rounding over and losing momentum and getting rejections on certain specific areas, I also saw this divergence here. We have 1, 2, and now 3 bearish divergence in the trend. We have these two areas here, and this here was a lower high. This is just something I just started looking into as I got to this level. So I did make a purchase and have buy orders set down in the 745 range. We had one nice big rip back up. Let's look at the 1 hour, it'll show us a little clearer. We had one big nice rip from the 745 to 736 level that we talked about. It hit 734. And we pulled back up, and we got another rejection from the same downward sloping resistance of this potential descending triangle, or whatever we ended up deciding to call it. I forget if I had it drawn, I think kind of like this, or something, right? So either way, I got stopped out of this position after this rip. As soon as we took off here, I was like, that's it. If we're bouncing here, this is the time we need to break out. If we come back down, I was not really expecting that we would come back down this hard, right? So as soon as I entered, because I had buy orders at 744, and when I saw it around the 734 level, quickly I managed to catch it, and I put another order in at that 736 here. So I was able to get this level and this level, which averaged me in, I think, around like 737 or something. As soon as we ripped up here, I started placing my stop loss at break even. I had this resistance here that we tapped a few times, and when we broke it, we ripped up. So in my eyes, we needed to have this and have this, right? This would be a double bottom with a higher low. And we didn't do that. We completely failed it. So I was stopped out right before this dump back down here. Now, the next area that I was looking for was the 676 area, which I didn't get filled on because I had it down below. However, during the same buy up here, I decided to put an order in, so I ended up averaging in around 702. I did make some purchases at 692 and made some purchases around the $7 range because I was really talking about 2 levels for us to hit. Now this right now, unfortunately, I'm noticing a few things here, and I'm going to talk about it. Once you have this downwards price action, you have to create some kind of pattern. Now we could call it some kind of falling channel or something. However, this pattern right here is not a bullish pattern. So what I actually ended up doing was, right at the end of the day, once I started getting a chance to look at this, I was considering taking myself out of this potential trade and waiting to see something else here. But this to me is looking like a continuation pattern to the downside. We did get a bounce here. We got an okay bounce, but nothing that was to write home about. We could call this some bullish divergence here if it did decide to chop around here. And like I talked about, there was a possibility we could come down and control this level here of this red line, which we still can do. I mean, I could be the thing is I'm not trading here with emotion. As far as I'm not like, oh my God, I'm so scared, guys, I'm so scared. No, because I knew exactly what was going to happen. We had 1, 2, 3 levels that we were watching, 718, 745 to 734. We'll call that the 1 range. And then our 676. Well, yes, we're here right now. But there's a few things that we need to look at. We need to start with the weekly time frame. So we have our nice red weekly candle here. We are holding this level. So this could still be something bullish, but look at this weekly RSI right now. We have bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, unless we get a nice pump. If we do get a nice pump here, this can cancel it out. But we're notched over as of today. On the daily time frame, we're seeing some of this bearish price action play out that we were talking about. The whole reason I was calling for it to come down in these levels. This might still be a good trade. We just have to use tight stop losses here, in my opinion. I almost closed my position. I thought about closing my position, but I decided I might just relax a little bit and keep my stop loss somewhere below this red trend line or this white trend line. So it would be a little bit of a hair of a risk, but I might put my stop loss. I'm trying to decide. I'm going to see how price action goes. If we completely tumble first thing on open, then obviously I'm not just going to panic sell. I'll have to wait for something to buy back up. But I'm just not feeling this right now, and although I was super bullish about this scenario here, unfortunately now that it has actually happened, looking at this chart, this is just me looking at price actions with no indicators, so I'll have to pull some indicators up. Obviously, we start with the daily time frame. As of right now, we are in this cloud. This was something we talked about. We want to be in this cloud here. However, when we lost this level, this was a pretty strong rejection. We're going to now have this converging trend line at 717 below us, the same one that held us down below this level throughout this chop. Once we popped it, we did well. When we back tested it so far, unfortunately, we didn't hold it. We're in this cloud, so as long as we don't lose 658, in my opinion, we can remain on my bullish original idea. That's probably what I'm going to do, just planning this trade out based off of this. I'm going to put a stop loss somewhere below this cloud's line right here. It can be 660, it can be somewhere between 660 and 652. That's what I'm going to do. If we did come down, let's say tomorrow we come down a little bit lower and we break that 676 and then we wick down to this cloud support at 664 and we buy back up and then we continue trending on the 676 level that we've talked about, we could maybe, after a little bit of time here chopping around, we could potentially see ourselves do something good. But the problem for me is that, this was an amazing uptrend here since taking off down in these lower levels. We've been doing great. Every time we touch this red support, we rip. Every time we touch the red support, we rip, we rip, we rip. So this could be another chance that this thing just comes down and touches the support and then rips and creates a very nice double bottom. That's my original idea. But honestly, just something in my gut is just making me think differently about my original thought process. And that happens to me. I'm a short-term trader. I'll look at charts and I'll say, oh my God, this is starting to look pretty bearish. And then next week, we could sit here and hold this level and chop around. And then I can start saying, all right, guys, we held this level, which is why sometimes buying this dip, the first initial dip, isn't always the best case, because right now we just had a drop. We're now flagging in a bearish pattern, and this thing could continue down. We don't know for sure. So sometimes buying this dip right here, like I did, which, sometimes I'll buy the dip and I'll just be good. Other times I'll wait for some kind of confirmation, which is the best thing. So maybe me just being expecting that we might have just tapped this level and took off running. That was my initial thought. Now we've hung out down here a little bit longer than I wanted it to. So that's the thing that's causing me to be a little more fearful, because I want to see a springboard. I want to see a springboard buy option, buying opportunity. So we're going to have to see how this plays out from here. I'm not going to go and just close all my positions, even if this thing opens up, say it opens up down here at 660 or something. I'm just going to play it out and see what happens. I'm not saying that I think for sure that this thing is just going to completely tumble back down here, which it's possible at this point. I mean, it's starting to show some signs of some things, and with the SPY is up at the all-time high, a lot of people are fearful right now that this is going to double top, and it could double top. But look at this rejection candle in the 4 hour. This is, this was our first warning shot. I mean, we knew about this because we talked about this scenario playing out. So if anyone was in at the 744, like, oh my God, he was right, it's holding support, and then we lost it. I mean, hopefully people put in stop losses, as I did, or positioned themselves so that they knew that this could be another scenario that we drop down to this next level that we talked about. So for me, I'm not a person that's going to buy here, and then if it loses my idea, I'm just going to hold and continue adding, averaging down. And then if it continues dropping and dropping and dropping, I'm just going to keep adding it. I don't like to do that. I'm like, my risk, I'm at this 745. We hit 734. I'm putting my stop loss at 732. And the second we bounce, I'm moving my stop to break even. There's no risk on the table now. I get stopped out, oh well, maybe I'll buy it again. If it holds that 734 again, maybe I'll hold that. Something like that. That's how I play. So, we were pretty damn close. We were right about this 745 being a strong level. However, if you lose a strong level, you have a good drop. And that's pretty much what just happened. So now we're getting close to the same support line. We're still looking at that 676 as a possibility, and it could still have a nice bounce off that level. But there's just a few things that are making me a little more nervous. But that could just be because we're just at the start of this dump before potentially consolidating, chopping around for a little bit before ripping up. So I'm not going to go here and just dump all my position I just got in. I'm just going to analyze it day by day and have stop losses in place in case this doesn't work. Because not everything is guaranteed, not every support is guaranteed, and not every support will hold. I mean, there's a chance that it could drop from here. This has been a great run. But if we're correct and this does hold, then this could end up being a beautiful trade. But for right now, I'm feeling a little less confident, because originally my idea was that this 745 was going to hold. So we have bullish things on the upside if we can hold this level, and if we can stay in this cloud and chop around and hold this cloud, that's going to be our bullish area. So I gave some levels, and we're going to stick to that, and I'm going to continue to watch this 657 to the 676 or 680 level, and we're going to keep watching that and see what happens during those ranges. If we start losing it, that's when things start getting a little more scary for me. So, I'm trying to just take a look at some Keltner channel support lines. I mean, we have strong support way down here, 520. We have this potential strong support still, 565, if we were to lose all of this. But we have to be cautious. We have to be a little bit cautious right now. Our weekly 20 EMA is over here. We still have some bullish scenarios that can play out. Like I said, we have our moving averages on the weekly are starting to run up. So you could have your 50 cross your 200, your 100 cross your 200. I mean, those are golden crosses potentially gearing up. We have our daily 20 EMA here at 694, which is roughly, we wicked a little bit below, but we're still above that. So that's That's a good thing to see. We want to maintain and continue holding above this range. So there's still a few things that are like sitting here that could be pretty nice. We have our 4-hour 50 EMA down at my support of 676. And then we can obviously see some of our moving averages on the 3-hour are starting to roll over. And that resistance right now is sitting right around the 778 area, which means we need to be able to get above the $8 range again in order to really start looking pretty good. Actually 773 roughly. We need to start getting above that. I'm going to try to look at some smaller time frames here and see if we can see something other than just this potential rising channel right here, rising wedge. So what could happen here, guys, is honestly we could come back up and we could actually reject by this area here of that 745. That might be a perfect potential exit if we reject there, and that's going to show us something a lot more bearish could be coming here if we do that. So these are the things that I'm kind of watching right now, and these are the things that are going to be warning shots, because although we're going to be hitting some areas down here that could be a perfect buy, rejecting from old support is not a good thing. So, I mean, BTC just took a big dump too, and like we've talked about, this could be a Bitcoin play. I mean, look at Bitcoin. Yeah, we hit some supports that I was watching. You know, I have this potential pattern. Let me get these EMAs off here. I had this potential pattern right here. I have like 5 charts for Bitcoin that I watch and chart just to keep an eye on it. And I mean, you can see the beautiful continuation patterns over and over, and every dip's been bought up. Continuation pattern here, ripping, consolidating here, and this potential symmetrical triangle with a lot of wicks below, but just instantly bought back up. A rip, potential top so far, short-term top, bearish divergence. And then what happened? Came back down, and so far got bought right back up at 61,827, which was the previous support resistance here. So, I mean, I had this drawn out here from the moment when we were sitting up here at 65K. I drew this white line with the, you know, this gross squiggly bounce off this support idea. And now look where we are. I mean, yeah, we hit it sooner than I expected, but you know, so yes, the dump right there could be a potential reason why ANY is also having a little bit of a painful time. And if this thing decides to roll back around and maybe go back up for another test after consolidating a little while, this might be something to keep an eye on. But that's another spinning top up in the daily. You know, I mean, this shit takes a little while. But if Bitcoin was to finally say this was the top for Bitcoin short term, and we came back down to retest some levels of 53K before heading up again, which is my idea. I just gave away my idea, but that's my idea, to potentially create another beautiful, beautiful flag before ripping to the upside. A beautiful, beautiful flag before ripping to the upside. You see what I'm saying? That's my idea, to retest 53K. I would love to see it. 52.7 to 53K. You know, maybe even just come down here to this 57. I mean, that's possible. But, you know, we have a lot of strong supports below. But I like the 53K roughly, personally. But I will watch this level also at 57.3, so 57.4, because that was some resistance. But that's, anyway, this isn't supposed to be about Bitcoin. But it is kind of, because if we are going to continue following Bitcoin in a sense with ANY, then this is something that we need to keep our eyes on. We need to watch the Bitcoin. We need to watch, what else? DXY. Why do you have to watch DXY? Because the US dollar will tell a lot of things for Bitcoin, for the same reason that when Bitcoin, usually every single time in a cycle, when the DXY hits a top, BTC hits a bottom. When DXY finds a bottom, BTC hits a top. Bottom, BTC, top. You know what I'm saying? And that's just a well-known thing in the crypto world, you know. And so far, these bullish patterns are playing out pretty crazy on DXY. And what has DXY done? It broke a long-term resistance, and what happens when it breaks and back tests a long-term resistance? It continues ripping. And what is it doing right now? It broke out, double bottomed, broke out, and what's it about to do? It's back testing long-term resistance. If this back test does hold, the DXY can start moving to the upside. And what does that mean for Bitcoin? It can start moving to the downside. So, with that being the case, maybe Bitcoin starts heading down to 53K around the same time when the DXY is hitting this long-term resistance, because it could come back and back test this trend line. See how we chop here? And nobody cares about the DXY. I get it. This is probably shitty. You probably exited this video by now. But these are important things to watch. So what are we about to do with the DXY? Potentially ripping back up here to test these 97 levels. If that does that, Bitcoin's going to see some price action dipping. And it's going to see a huge sell-off because people are going to be so fearful, even though we made a new all-time high, it could dump the price. But I'll be watching the 53K level. That's the level I'm watching. And for ANY could sell off just as fast, because people are going to be wanting to get out of that and any other Bitcoin plays. I mean, Riot's in the same play, and I know this is a long video, and I'm sorry. I hope you guys are enjoying this. Hit the like button if you're still here, and leave a comment down below. That would be extremely helpful for me, and, you know, I don't mind having conversations with people. I like you guys. So, where are we? Riot. I mean, we're all here for the same reason. We're trying to make money. But I had a bearish idea on Riot. And a lot of people I talked to did not believe me on this idea. But look at Riot. We were attempting to play this breakout somewhere. Was it this one? I was trying to make some breakout plays on this thing, and we completely failed. This ended up becoming a giant kind of like bear flag, so to speak. I mean, it looks like an ascending triangle, but rip, lost support, rip back up, back test support as resistance, drop. Do we get a double bottom that brings us back? Or do you get a M pattern, bearish back test, further downside, continuations until you reach the target? I mean, I'm not saying that's the target down there. I don't even know what the target is. Let's just look for the hell of it. Target, boom, boom. Let's take a look. How low are we going? If this plays out, how low are we going? $16. So I'd probably put a buy order down here at $16.68. Slap this trend line right here. Trend support. I mean, I'd probably put it above higher in case people come in. But look at that. Rip through. Back test. Rip. Reject. Lower high. Reject, reject, reject. I mean, this was my idea of something, but it didn't even play out. You know, this was probably like a symmetrical triangle of some sort. I don't know. I don't care about. I'm not going to get into Riot, but that's my idea on Riot. Maybe a descending triangle, something like that. But that's my idea on Riot. Yeah, see, fall, retest, fall, sideways consolidation, further to the downside. Break trend, come back, attempt to get back above, reject, further move to the downside, 1721 roughly, maybe something like that. Just saying, guys, just saying. I don't know. I could be wrong. I'm not trying to call Bitcoin top. Hell no, this thing could go. I have targets of 72K. That's my targets. My top is 72K. Could we go higher? Maybe. But either way, ANY is going to be right up here with all these things that's going on. Mara, what did we just do? MRA. We just potentially hit a double top. Potentially. Did we break it? could continue. It could come back down here, back test, maybe make a falling wedge here down to 46.81. It still doesn't look too bad. And then if it does hold, you come back up, maybe you test this area, and then maybe that'll be it. Who knows? Maybe it'll make a new high. If it falls all the way back into this channel, that's right around this 37.60. But I don't know. I'm just feeling a little bit worrisome. So if you guys appreciate this, if you lasted this long, leave something in the comments for me to let me know you guys stayed to the end. Anyway, have a good night. I hope this was helpful. Let's trade cautious, use stop losses. Let's not lose too much money just trying to make some extra money here. We don't want to lose more than we are trying to make. The risk to reward wouldn't be worth it. Peace.